Okay, chapter 3, titled Jump in the Pool. Why is it called that? Well, we've all heard that statement, all the kit don't know shit. And I'm going to be talking about that. I won't just be talking about it in terms of triathlon. I will give some other examples. So if you're not an athlete or a triathlete, don't turn away just yet. So essentially, what am I talking about? Well, quite often when we're trying to overcome a challenge, one of the immediate things we do is say, external circumstances, need to change those first. So if it's a triathlete, quite often they're like, I need a new bike. If it's you've probably met someone who's a videographer and they'll say, I'll make that short film when I get that new camera. Or there's someone who's a wannabe chef and is like, okay, I'll be a chef. Once I've done the kitchen, I've got a new set of knives. Or a painter, needs some new brushes of my own studio space, then I'll start painting those canvases. It can even relate to saving money, where we're like, well, when I get a better job, I can save more money. Well, all of these things, whilst important and shouldn't be ignored, the mistake a lot of us make is we do those too early in the process of overcoming a challenge. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why it shouldn't come first and give some examples. And then at the end of the video, I'll do a recap of where my training is, because this is week 5 now, and the race that I am sort of trying to perform well in is in 2 weeks' time. So in previous videos, we talked about the need to break a challenge down into manageable chunks. And we also talked about the sort of natural skills that we can have of hard work and passion and determination. But what I haven't said is that those things need to really come first before we get overly concerned with our external circumstances. Now, the reason for that is there's sort of 4 reasons really, which I'm going to go through. And the first one, which we all know, is procrastination. Now, the thing with external circumstances and quite often spending money is actually it's quite a covert way of procrastinating, because we're not pursuing the challenge, we're not doing what's needed. And so what we do is we go, okay, well, if I get that new bike, then that moves me forward. Or if I get that new camera, okay, that gets me closer. But what it doesn't do is actually get us moving closer at all. All we do is we spend some money, we've got a new bit of kit, and we're still procrastinating. And so essentially that leads into, well, my second point, which is excuses. And so when we have a big challenge or something that is difficult to overcome, we naturally make excuses. Now, procrastination is not necessarily an excuse, but we use needing a new bike or a camera or some knives or a new job as an excuse. Now, the problem with that is we are creating a way of doing things that's not helpful. If we're just making excuses the whole time, we don't take responsibility for what's needed and we don't move forward. Which kind of leads into the next point, point 3, which is habits or good habits. Now, excuses obviously aren't a good habit. So what we need to do, again, not buying stuff, wait for that. That needs to come later. We need to get into some good habits. So we'll use triathlon as a good example. I've got a 350-pound touring bike. Now, if you know anything about triathlon bikes are 5 to 10 grand, and it's kind of known that if you get a proper bike, it does make a huge difference in terms of your time on the bike and actually then the fatigue levels when you go onto the run. However, I haven't bought a fancy new bike, and the reason I haven't done that is because I also know I'm not fit enough as a cyclist within a triathlon. There's no way that I've hit my maximum level with the bike that I've got. So I've gone, okay, well, I can't really afford a fancy new bike. There's no reason for a fancy new bike because I can't even utilize it. Therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to train hard and get in some good training habits, good consistency, and improve my fitness on the bike. Now, why is this a good habit to achieve? Well, it's a really good thing to do because when you do get to that point where you can invest and change the external circumstances, you're now in a position where you can actually fully utilize the spend of that money. Again, if you take a videographer, they buy a really fancy Blackmagic camera, they're going to make a film, but they haven't learned the basics of their previous camera. So they get the new camera, they don't know what they're doing with it. It's too much to possibly learn, and they still don't make that film, and they've just got a £5,000 hole in their finances. So the other thing with the forming the habits is you're making actual physical progress. You are moving forward. Even if, let's say, you're saving just a small amount of money every month, and that means you've had to not have a coffee that week at your favorite cafe. If you do that consistently, you're in that habit of saving money. And whilst it isn't a lot of money, you've got that habit going and you're seeing it build and you're building success. And that success builds belief. And then as a result, you keep going. And then when you do pursue that new job or get that new job, saving is not an issue anymore because you're used to doing it, you want to do it, and you've seen the success of doing it. And that new money from your job, you're like, actually, do you know what I'll do? I'll just take that extra money and put that straight into saving. And so it's really important that we do not get distracted by our external circumstances when we're trying to overcome a challenge, because if we do, we will spend money, we will focus on them, we'll make excuses, we won't build good habits, we don't get success, and ultimately we don't actually make any progress. So to sum that all up, I guess the best way to look at it, or the best way to remember in those moments, is get fit, either literally or, metaphorically, not kit. And from my experience, that will put you in a much stronger position to overcome that challenge that you're trying to achieve. It's not that the external circumstances aren't important and should be ignored. It's just that they need to come later when you're in a position to fully utilize that expenditure or whatever it might be. Okay, so that's, jump in the pool. It's essentially is like, get on with it. So in terms of getting on with it, how's my training going? Well, let's have a look. I've written it down because I can't remember it all. I've done well to remember as much as I have already. So we're on week 5 of the training. It's been really difficult to go from sort of 10 to 12 to 13 hours. My body is definitely finding that hard. I'm currently doing 4 swims, which is probably about 11 or 12k a week. I'm on about 3 bikes, which is coming to about 150 plus k a week, and 4 runs, which is about 50k a week. So, that's over 210k a week of training, plus a gym session in there as well. No spectacular times, no huge breakthroughs, couple of good swimming sessions. I did another sub 40 10k in a training session, which was good. My zone 2 half marathon time came down to 1:39. Again, nothing groundbreaking, nothing that's going to get me to the Olympics, but small progress and going reasonably well. My race is in a couple of weeks, so we'll review the training and the race in future episodes. And then I guess to finish, I should probably go through what kit I've got, because obviously I've said I don't have all this kit and you shouldn't invest in all this kit. So there's a picture you can see, and I've got 1 pair of shorts, I've got a couple of t-shirts, I've got 1 pair of trainers, I've got the bike that I mentioned earlier. I have got a Zwift Turbo, but that was a Christmas and birthday present from my family, which I wasn't expecting. So that is quite a big bit of kit, and that has been a great investment for me. I do have a Garmin. That was also a family present for Christmas and birthday. Also wasn't expecting it, so that's really cool. That's probably now 3 years old. And I have 1 pair of cycling shorts, which a friend gave me, and I think that is it, and some hydration tablets and some recovery powder. So not a lot. So if you think that sounds like a lot, go and speak to some of these other triathletes and see how much kit they've got. Multiple bikes, multiple trainers, multiple everything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but my point being is I'm trying to get myself in a really strong position so that when I do make those investments, or those investments actually become something worth doing, I will see the benefit of those as I've created good habits, I'm not making excuses, and I'm able to fully maximize that bit of kit. I hope that wasn't too waffly. I hope you found that interesting, and I really do hope it inspires you to chase that challenge and overcome it. Do watch some of the previous video for some few other tips. I'm Johnny, this is the What If channel. Thanks for watching.